Hey everybody, who the hell asked here? You got the top gaming insiders in the industry apparently.
Yes, that's right.
Slade and Byron,
Hey,
let's get after it.
yeah, so holy shit, what a week. Let's get started. New PlayStation Plus, ladies and gentlemen. So it's been rumored apparently for weeks, if not months, that there was something codenamed Project Spartacus, and this is what it is. And the rumors apparently were that it was going to be PlayStation Plus plus PlayStation Now, and that's essentially what we have here. So let me go through really quick the three brand new tiers that we have. So we have PlayStation Plus Essential, which is basically the same thing as your regular PS Plus. So it's going to be the same price, $9.99 monthly, $24.99 quarterly, $59.99 yearly. Basically, nothing changes if you were just a PlayStation Plus subscriber. We have PlayStation Plus Extra, which includes everything else previous and a back catalog of up to 400 of the most enjoyable PS4 and PS5 games for $14.99 monthly, $39.99 quarterly, and $99.99 yearly US. And you can see the other prices on screen. And then, Slade, we have probably the most interesting tier PlayStation Plus Premium, which you get everything previous plus 340 additional games, including PS3 games available via cloud streaming, a back catalog of beloved PS1, PS2, and PSP games that will be available both streaming and download. You can do cloud streaming, except in markets where that's not a thing. There will be a different tier for that, which will be a little bit cheaper. And then also, time limited game trials will be offered in this tier, so customers can try select games before buying. That will be $17.99 monthly, $49.99 quarterly, or $119.99 yearly US dollars. Thoughts?
All right, so obviously we all knew that PlayStation's answer to Game Pass was coming.
Yes.
And this comes as no surprise. Byron, I think in our predictions video, you actually predicted that it was either going to be March or April they dropped this on us.
I
So
think I'll have to go back, but apparently I'm on this show. I'm Nostradamus, and so
yeah,
is
we're
Slade.
both Nostradamus
Yeah, I
on
was
this
about
show
to say
because holy
it.
shit. Like I said, we obviously have an inside source at this point with how much we got right.
Apparently we got the inside scoops, Slade.
Yeah, so back to that. Obviously, with the different tierings and whatnot, there's a lot of comparisons to Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate from Microsoft.
Yep.
Ultimately, I feel like the service falls a little bit short
Yeah.
of what Game Pass is providing. Mostly because of the pricing model, but also just because of, the availability of some of the games there. Again, they said it's over 700 games total.
Yeah.
So it
About
remains to be seen how much third party support they have and which third parties.
yep.
But all in all, I just Sony's probably going to need to do a little bit more if they're trying to catch up in this race.
Yeah.
Uh,
I will say having PS1, PS2, and PSP games downloadable is great.
yes, for sure.
Hopefully there's more ways to have that than just the subscription service, but that remains to be seen. PS3 games available as cloud streaming. Yeah, like should they be downloadable as well? Yes, but apparently Sony can't apparently Sony can't emulate the PS3 on PS5.
Oh yeah, which is pretty wild.
That is wild. You have RP.
They could, but they probably have to spend a lot of money on it, which is like really unfortunate.
Yeah, because I was gonna say there's RPCS3, but that's been in the works for a while.
Oh yeah.
Sony could have, but they chose not to. But I still think if you're a PlayStation only person, this is a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think it's better than the silence they've kind of been running with for a while now.
Yeah, the weird like we have two sub services, but like we're not really putting focus into PS Now. It seems like they're going to put focus on this more.
For sure. So Jim Ryan over at PlayStation had some interesting thoughts on if they put them straight into PS Plus. Byron,
Oh
if you want to go
yeah,
over
so the big thing is that obviously there is no day one PlayStation 5 games. Now there are some games that will be available on that service that are relatively recent, Miles Morales and Returnal and a few others. But yeah, GamesIndustry.biz had an interview with Jim Ryan about why there are no like day one games on PS Plus. And Jim Ryan says, we feel like we're in a good virtuous cycle with the studios. And he says, well, if we were to do that with the games that we make at PlayStation Studios, that virtuous cycle will be broken. The level of investment that we need to make in our studios would not be possible, and we think the knock-on effect on the quality of the games that we make would not be something that gamers want. Thoughts on that quote?
So, a lot of PR speak there, but essentially what I'm taking away from it is if they were to willy-nilly throw a lot of these games day one into PlayStation Plus, then these games wouldn't be able to profit very heavily off, people buying individual like copies or digital copies or whatever.
And to an effect, I think he's right on that, at least on the
Yes,
PlayStation side.
Absolutely, because I think in terms of the quality of these games,
is incredible.
They have to make, they are incredible. PlayStation has some very, very amazing exclusives. I think if the profit wasn't there for those exclusives, then they wouldn't have the level of effort and quality put into them.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I do think it is important for their new releases to not just be thrown onto PlayStation Plus.
Yeah. However,
you said PlayStation Plus, but what about like the higher tiered subscriptions? Did he bring that up at all?
That's generally what he was talking about.
Yeah.
However, though, Jim Ryan also said the way the world is changing so very quickly at the moment, nothing is forever. He tells us, who would have said even 4 years ago that you would see AAA PlayStation IP being published on PC? So on that point, he also makes a really good point. Like, he's not saying no. He's just saying not right now.
Yeah.
And with the obvious example being like, would you have imagined Horizon on PC? Would you have imagined Days Gone, God of War, Uncharted? No, unfathomable. But look where we are, Slade. We're in that timeline.
For sure. So obviously, for a lot of people, they feel kind of whelmed by these news. Again, it just seems like Game Pass is the superior service overall. And people wanted PlayStation to make moves in a big way. But really, what I take away, what I see from this is if people are disappointed with the sort of PlayStation is offering, then holy fucking shit, Nintendo fans have it rough.
Yeah. Oh, God.
The backlog of Nintendo games that are forever fucking lost.
So, it's
only continued to get worse because NSO is just one of the worst services imaginable.
Yeah. This combined service will be coming this June. So that's very interesting. So that is very interesting. And so at launch, they plan to include titles such as Death Stranding, God of War, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Mortal Kombat 11, and Returnal. So some big PS5 launch games are going to be
solid launch lineup and whatnot. Again, they have probably a pretty massive gap compared to Game Pass that they need to catch up in terms of their library. But
I'm curious to see where this will go. And speaking
of, sure. I definitely think this is going to be something that really takes time before it really takes off.
Yeah, and speaking of Nintendo and seeing where things are going, Slade, you fucking called it.
Yeah, I sure did. So this year's predictions, I kind of took a bit more of a Debbie Downer approach because I had kind of like an inkling feeling coming into the year that, really just a lot of things that were halted by like the pandemic and whatnot weren't going quite as swimmingly as people thought. Like, people thought once the pandemic ended, these companies would get immediately back into the swing of things and, production would kind of pick up ultimately where it left off on a lot of these games overall. But I'm going to stop beating around the bush. I called it. I knew Breath of the Wild 2 was getting delayed. Yep. It's pretty much standard for any Zelda game. I know that there's a very small percentage of actual Zelda fans that are surprised, but a lot of casual people are like, "What?"
So, I was one of them. Having known Zelda does get delays, I just thought, okay, they're gonna make it this year. We just gotta wait till June to hear about it. And I do think we still will hear about this game at E3. Or, well, hold on. At Nintendo's presentation, at Nintendo's next presentation, which I think you would agree with me on. We're hearing this next.
So. Yeah, I think we'll hear something about it. Maybe not Nintendo's very next presentation. We'll get to the reasons for that in a minute.
Yeah,
but we'll hear about it later this year. They're not just going to drop the game completely raw and blind on us, and we're not going to know anything about it. Obviously, we're going to get some footage and some gameplay.
Yeah, so Nintendo put out a video on their YouTube channel of an update video with a fresh cut looking Aonuma with the fresh cut. And we got a little bit of a snippet of things, and we got a look at this sword.
Oh yeah, Master Sword. This isn't the first time the Master Sword's broke. Obviously, in Breath of the Wild, it was like rusted and chipped and whatnot.
Yeah, but like
now it's like warped beyond like recognition. It's really interesting.
Yeah, Jesus.
I'm pretty sure there's a billion Zelda lore videos covering it. We're not going to get into that.
Game Explain, like Good Vibes Gaming. A lot of the other channels are like, they're taking these like, I think it was like maybe 20 seconds of footage that we saw during this announcement video, and they're gonna be like, okay, where does this connect to this and this and this and this and this?
Oh yeah. By the way, if you guys haven't heard of Zelda, go watch his content. It's amazing, especially if you're a Zelda fan. All right, so yeah, I kind of saw this coming from a mile away. I kind of felt like there was a lot of direct comparisons in this situation to both Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword's releases, where really, up until their initial release points, there was a whole lot of really nothing being said or talked about the games.
Yeah.
And then they just announced that it was delayed, and then it didn't start getting, actual footage or buzz until the games actually came out.
Yeah.
As I said, this is pretty standard for the Zelda series. I don't think we've had a Zelda game since Majora's Mask that hasn't been delayed in some way, shape, or form. So
yeah, and apparently he said Aonuma said this is gonna be a vast game, vaster than you thought. And I'm like, oh boy.
I mean, that's considering Breath of the Wild was already fast, so it's pretty crazy.
So I guess no wonder it's taking so long. And I'm seeing people speculate, and no, we're not getting a new Switch with Breath of the Wild 2, which is what I'm calling it until we actually have a title. Because I'm not calling it the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. I'm just going to call it Breath of the Wild 2 until we get an actual name for it.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to go off of as well. I wouldn't be so quick to rule out the idea of another Switch. Now, I do think that this game's going to appear on the current Switch console, no doubt.
Yes.
But I do think that there is, prospects for a Switch upgrade, kind of like a mid-console upgrade, like the PS4 Pro and the Xbox Series X.
I guess.
Not Xbox Series X, the Xbox One X. Jesus Christ, Microsoft named the consoles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think this is going to be something that has a lot of potential for like the mid-console kind of like upgrade thing, like a lot of PlayStation 4 games did.
Yeah, I guess. But speaking of something that doesn't have any prospects anymore, ladies and gentlemen, the biggest news literally just dropped like an hour ago from when we're recording this. Ladies and gentlemen, E3 Digital is canceled. And this is not an April Fool's joke.
E3 is completely canceled.
Yeah, this is not an April Fool's joke. So courtesy of Will Powers, who is the PR lead over at Razer, Razer, the gaming company, formerly with Deep Silver, PlayStation, and Tencent. So this dude is the real deal. He announced he got an email. It's official. E3 Digital is officially canceled for 2022. Lots of mixed feelings about this. And then to corroborate, on this. We also have Rebecca Valentine over at IGN, who independently confirmed that yes, this is not an April Fool's joke. It's done. E3 digital and physical. Physical had already been canceled. We had covered this on a previous episode. Link in the iCard. But yeah, it's now official, Slade. E3 2022 done, over, finished, canceled.
Oh yeah, you don't need to tell me. As I said, I predicted this all the way back in our predictions video for the year. And if you guys end up seeing Rebecca's tweet, she said that it's unsurprising since they never actually confirmed that they were doing a digital event. They just canceled the physical event, and they were very nonchalant, or like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. They kind of avoided talking about the event in its entirety whenever somebody would bring it up.
So in Rebecca's tweet, she was like, they were so cagey when we asked about it. So I think that's the word you were looking for, cagey.
Yeah, so long story short, to me, this is completely unsurprising. I felt like this is something that was kind of like steaming for years in terms of when they doxed all their, the journalists and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was something else. Christ.
I kind of felt like that was like the straw that broke the camel's back because it was really the beginning of the end. Yeah. Honestly, I felt like the first major blow they've received for E3 was all the way back in 2013 when Nintendo announced that they would no longer be planning in-person events, but instead be doing, digitalized Nintendo Directs for E3.
Yeah, which has ended up becoming a major success.
One of the few times success in Nintendo, but also something that all the other companies in the industry are doing.
Yeah, one of the few times Nintendo were actually ahead of the curve. But yeah, so in a reply from Rebecca, she said multiple folks have told me they are regrouping for a big comeback in 2023.
Yeah, so this might not be the end permanently, but usually when, big events like these miss a year,
it's not good.
I know they say they're planning a big comeback the year after. These things typically don't bounce back with the full fervor that they've had before.
Yeah, so
I think this is the end of E3 being a super massive, video games technology expo.
Yeah,
for the foreseeable future.
So Slade, I think, briefly mentioned this earlier when I had slipped that, Nintendo E3 Direct. What the hell do we think happens now with companies like Microsoft, like Nintendo, like Square, fucking Ubisoft? What do you think they do?
Well, honestly, it's not like there isn't any form of, summer news for any sort of platform. They did have a competitor as of recently. Now they're the sole people, doing anything for summer.
Well, there's Summer Game Fest
that these companies could present at.
Well, yeah, there's Summer Game Fest, but I feel like that's going to be like what it was last year, like a one-day show. I feel like.
Well, yeah, but now there's the possibility that a lot of these major companies that, were doing E3 instead could now be significantly more involved.
I guess
we saw a lot of involvement from Sony last year at Summer Games Fest, honestly.
I guess, but with 3 months potentially of prep, though.
Well, here's the thing: they might have just now sent the emails to IGN and some of these news companies. I imagine a lot of these developers and studios were probably already aware that there would be no marketing going on.
I'm not necessarily sure because Will Powers is from Razer, so
fair enough.
So
I just get the impression that this is something that's in the works for a long while. They already canceled the in-person event.
Yeah.
I imagine they probably weren't receiving a lot of buzz from these companies sending, hey, this is what we're going to advertise at, this upcoming event.
Yeah.
Unless you want to tell me that marketing teams all over the globe just crunch for E3. That do it all at last minute.
It's possible for certain companies, but I'm not too sure on that. So don't.
That's not. Hopefully, that's not the case.
Hopefully, but it's gonna be very interesting to see now that this news is out. What happens for for these companies, like a Microsoft, like a Nintendo, a Ubisoft, a Square.
Sony even.
I think Sony is still just going to march to the beat of their own drum. They're going to do
they have been for a while, but I mean, it's still interesting now that big, summer, like this is where everybody's advertising their stuff.
Yeah,
now they might not potentially be doing.
Yeah, now
Sony
I think
could
it's
do
just going to
something
be. I think everybody's just going to do their own thing throughout the next 5 months. I think, depending on who starts when. Maybe it'll just be companies will just have their announcements throughout June, July, August, and September or something. Who knows? I'm very interested to see where this goes, considering this news. Very interested to see what happens.
Oh, absolutely. Now that E3 has, been canceled and all these companies that usually have, massive lineups of announcements that they usually do at that time of year, it kind of makes me wonder, what do they plan to do now? Because obviously E3 is as much an event for its investors as it is for
the fans.
Fans like us.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to share, information about the future of these, companies, games, technology, all that with their investors.
Yeah.
I imagine we probably just see hundreds of individual presentations for each company scattered all over the place, if not at Summer Games Fest.
I think we're just going to get a bunch of events scattered throughout probably the whole summer. Which for us will be nice because we don't have to cram everything into 1 week. We'll be happy about that, but in a way we'll miss it, but in a way we won't.
Honestly, Square Enix has kind of already got a jump on this. Square Enix has been announcing stuff like crazy this year, so...
Well, yeah, but...
I imagine, they're kind of ahead of the curve a little bit here, so... Now the question is, since our predictions videos has been so, freaking on point and whatnot, and clearly, Byron, you and I are gaming industry insiders.
Absolutely.
I guess we should make a prediction for the Nintendo Direct and when we think it'll be. Because obviously, this is going to be the kind of stuff people are going to be clicking for. So, Byron, when do you think is going to be the next Nintendo Direct?
Okay, I think... if it's not going to be at the usual time slot, I still think, honestly, with the amount of games, I could see either still in June, or if not, July, or if not that, they wait till September.
Yeah, okay, so that's the two realities. They still do one in the summer in either June or July.
Yes.
Or they just put it off till September.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I don't know which one they would go with, honestly. I don't know.
I think with the Breath of the Wild 2 delay and whatnot, and the fact that, we already have a lot of Nintendo's bigger hitters for the year with Kirby and Legends Arceus, and we already know Pokemon's coming out in fall. Real talk, I think they just sit out until September.
It's possible we could live in that timeline. I don't know. I just think... the fall lineup isn't filled in enough yet that I think if we don't get one in the summer, September guaranteed at that point.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I guess then our official prediction for the Nintendo Direct will be late June, early July.
Yeah.
If not, expect one in September.
Yeah.
So,
man,
what a week.
What a packed 4 days. 4 days from our last episode where we had 6 topics and we forgot about one topic.
Yep.
to
the Switch folders.
Yeah. To this jam-packed 3-topic big news episode. Jesus.
Yeah, just cancellations and subscriptions everywhere, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
This has been Byron.
This has been Slade.
And we will see you all next time for another episode of Who the Hell Asked. Bye-bye.